Well, hey everybody, it's Deanna Fenton here, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Simple Steps to Online Success. So, those of you that are watching on the replay, thank you for coming back and catching this recording. And go ahead and put the hashtag replay in the comments so I know. Also, remember whether you're watching live or watching on the replay, there is a link up in the post that allows StreamYard to post your name and Facebook profile. So that way, if you're live and you want to ask a question, we can all see your face and see your question. So I am really excited today. Let me just make sure, as always, that everything is broadcasting, and it sure looks like it is, so we're good. So today is very exciting. I'm not going to do any screen sharing. How about that? This is a topic that I think every online course and membership site creator kind of hits the wall at some point. And the issue is we are told over and over again that we need to build an email list. So you come up with a lead magnet, you work really hard, you build that list, and now what? So I am very fortunate to have my friend Tanya Brody with us today. And Tanya is a copywriter who is focused on helping small business owners find the value, find the gold in their email lists. She spent more than a decade as a copywriter and a marketing consultant working for some companies you may have heard of, such as Lead Pages, Funnel Dash, Mari Smith, yes, that Mari Smith, as well as additional companies like Inkit, Kaizen, Medical Moguls, Pathable People, and more. Tanya has made it her mission to help small business owners grow their customer bases and their bottom line through email marketing. She's seen firsthand how powerful it can be to speak directly to your potential customers and address their needs so that they're excited to buy your products and services. So today, Tanya's going to join us. We're going to have a conversation about email marketing and what to do after you get these people on your email list. So welcome, Tanya.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I am sure a lot of the viewers are interested in this as well, because when I sent out the email to my email list this week, I freely admitted that some days I sit in front of the computer and look at the blinking cursor and curse it, and I got nothing. So we're going to dive into that. But to start out a little bit, why don't you really reinforce what it is and the purpose of having our email list when we've got all of the social media world available to us as well?
Absolutely. So don't get me wrong, social media is great. I love it. But let's call a spade a shovel. It's a rabbit hole. It is so easy to get lost in social media, and you go this way and you go that way and there's this, and it's very, very distracting. So you may think you have someone paying attention to, well, your Facebook Live or, your ad or your post or whatever it is that you're doing, but there are so many other things going on. Whereas when you send an email, you are literally showing up in their inbox with very few other distractions, and they're just focused on the screen in front of them, reading what you have to say. I like to compare it to the difference between someone greeting you at their front door from behind the screen saying, "Hi, how can I help you?" when you ring their door, to them inviting you into their living room for tea and a chat. It's so much more personal when you are invited into their inbox, because that's what they're doing. They're literally raising their hands and going, "Yes, I'm interested in that thing that you said you were going, that you wanted to give me. And I'm interested in that product or service that I think might actually help me. Tell me more." So, social media is great for getting people to that point. but you really need the email list to collect that email address so that you can have that one-on-one conversation. So you're not at the party full of people, the two of you are off in a corner, having that conversation, catching up, finding out what's going on, and seeing how you can help. So you are going, oh, okay, I get that. You know what? Here's my recommendation for you. And of course, that recommendation is your product or service.
Now that sounds fantastic, and I'm sure everybody can understand that, because I can see that when we're talking in social media, we're like shouting at the ocean, as opposed to a nice intimate conversation, almost literally one-on-one. So why is it, or what is it that happens to those of us who've built a list that stops us from using our email marketing to make that connection?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I think one of the big mistakes that we make is that we feel like every single one of these must be a perfectly polished gem that takes hours to write. And it has to have all of the things. And we, therefore, get all agonized about it and makes it hard to write. I mean, let's face it. It doesn't have to be perfect. What it does have to be is regular. So people know that they're hearing from you on a regular basis and like, oh yeah, that's Deanna. She has that thing that I'm interested in. And so that you're being friendly and yourself. And honestly, if you just write an email with that, you are doing so much better than most people are doing, because most people get all tied up and they either write something that's really stilted and boring, and because they don't feel like they can say anything right, or they don't write at all, which is even worse. Because when you don't write at all, you end up sending an email maybe a month or 3 months later thinking, oh, I should really reactivate my email list because I want to be able to do a sale. And people are like, who the hell is that? And why are they in the middle of my living room? And
yeah, that is kind of funny, because we forget, even though our inboxes are full, right? That if you see the same name, even if you don't open the email, if you see the same name every week, like, oh, there's Tanya's email, at least they still, they have a sense of your presence. If you don't do anything, it's like you said, you show up and they're like, who the hell are you?
Right. Yeah, it takes 7 to 10 touches, meaning interactions with you, or your business or anything really, for someone to go, okay, yes, I'm going to do that. And that can literally be, walking into a store and picking up a garment and someone coming up to you saying, do you need any help with that? Can I find that in your size? And then you going, no, I'm good. And they walk away and you look at something else. And that 7 to 10 touches can happen right there. Sometimes that 7 to 10 touches is them going, do you want to sign up for our loyalty program? As you walk out the door and you go, yeah, sure. Or do you want a coupon as you walk out the door? That's another touch. Whereas for us doing everything online, it's all well and good to get someone on your social media. That's your first touch. Signing up for your lead magnet, freebie, opt-in bribe, whatever you want to call it. That's another touch. The thank you page, that's a third one. Then those emails become the rest of those touches. So, and honestly, there are people who will get those first couple of emails and they'll be like, this is it. This is the thing. Yes, I want it. And awesome. Yay, you did it. There are a whole bunch more people who are just going to take their time. Maybe they need more information. Maybe they know this is something they need, but it's not the thing on fire on their desk right this very second. So they're going to take their time. So you continuing to show up in their inbox makes them go, oh, God, that's right. Deanna had that program that I really wanted to sign up for, and it looks like she's launching it again. You know what? Now is the time. I am ready to do the thing.
And that's true, is because we always have to remember everybody's got their own timeline, right? And just because they don't buy this time doesn't mean they're not going to buy in the future.
Yeah. And so sending those regular nurturing emails, because that is what you're doing, you are nurturing these people to become customers, is really, really important. And another thing to remember is once they've become your customer, you need to still keep nurturing them. Because whereas they may not, they may have bought the thing, well, what about the next thing? You want them to buy again. You want them to get your next program. You want to have them join your membership. You want them to get whatever product or service you're offering next. Because it's, I think they say it's 5 times cheaper to convert an existing customer than it is to get a new one. So literally, you've got that person. They already know you're good. They already like what you've done. It is considerably less expensive to sell to them than it is to go out and run the Facebook ads and do all the social media and create all the lead mags. You need to continue that relationship. You know, it's the same thing as like, you know, the person that you knew in high school that you ran into on the street versus the person you went to high school with and you still talk every week or every month, or you guys check it, you know, you talk to each other on Facebook all the time or whatever that is. That's the type of relationship you want. It's a long-term, long-standing relationship that you both appreciate because you both get something from it. Your subscribers and customers, they're getting really useful information. And many times they're getting entertainment because, you know, if you write your emails right, they're fun as well as being informative. And that way you're getting a customer base and they're getting what they need, which is the help and support.
And I think that's the part we have to remember also is, yes, on social media, we can kind of show a bit more of our personality and what have you, assuming that people even see our social media posts. But you can really express that so much more in an email.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you can kind of give them a behind the scenes, or, you know, whether it's in your life or your business, you can kind of share more of yourself.
Well, and I think it's important to do that. You know, I mean, honestly, my subscribers get pictures of my cat all the time because he's adorable and he's part of my life. And therefore, I want you to know about that. But also, you know, we need to share our journey as business owners. Now, granted, I do that because I serve other business owners. But, you know, talk to your subscribers and customers about what it's like running your business and why you do it. What is your raison d'être, if you will, your reason for being? Why is it that you decided that you wanted to do whatever you're doing? You know, I used to write for lawyers. I worked for Thomson Reuters in their lawyer marketing division, and I had to interview all these lawyers, and that was one of my regular questions because I had to write an about page because I was writing websites. And, you know, so why did you become a lawyer? And half of them would give me these amazing, impassioned speeches, and the other half said, I do it for the money. It's like,
well, at least
I want to write about.
Yeah, but at least they're honest.
They were honest, and you want that in a lawyer. Don't get me wrong. But
it doesn't do a lot to sell you as
no.
as a provider of any service.
Right. And so when you share your story, when you say, you know, I created this widget because I saw this need in like my child's school. They didn't have the tools they needed, but this little widget, and when you connect this, and this, it makes this amazing tool that they can play with and they can interact with and they learn X, Y, and Z from. And you get all excited about that. That makes other people excited. You know, in that same way that I get all excited about talking about email. I get other people excited about it because they're like, oh, I can do that? Really? So that little widget or whatever it is that you're created, you had a reason you did that. And it's more than just making money. So talk about that. Talk about the fact that you went on a picnic with your family and you got to enjoy that because you run your own business, whatever it is. So there are so many ways to write emails, and I think this is one of the big mistakes people make. I think there are several mistakes, but there are three we're going to talk about a little bit here. And the first one is that every single email must offer value.
Yeah, that's what we think.
Right.
And like I said, some days it's just like, I got nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what leads you to the mistake of this email has to be this perfectly polished little gem, and therefore it takes hours to write, which it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. Value is relative. It's just as valuable for you to tell that story about going on the picnic with your family and tying it back to your product or service somehow, as it is to do a how-to on why the product or service helps someone. It's like and it's more interesting in many cases. So your personal stories can be just as valuable as the official value you're supposed to be delivering. Now, you can't do that in every email, but because you do want to talk about your product and service. But at the same time, people buy from people they like and know. So when you let your subscribers get to know you, they're more likely to buy. So if you just present this is the face of my company, you may come no further, they're not going to be as interested. Whereas you open those doors and say, hi, this is me. This is my company. Have a look around. This is what we do. This is why we do it. That makes you much more personable and much more interesting. And it means more people want to open your emails and buy your products and services, which is the name of the game.
Absolutely. Like, open the damn email, please.
Right.
So what's the right balance, though? I mean, between the personal sharing and because I think some of us also have a little trouble, not naming names, transitioning from personal and story to the value or a sales pitch, for example. So if you're going to do it, then what's a good balance?
So this is actually another mistake that I think people make, and that is thinking that you can't sell in your nurture emails. And I'm going to be honest. I think you should be selling in some form in every single email you send, whether it is an official sales email or your nurturing emails. And the reason you can do this is you don't have to do you must buy this product now, it's going away in every single email. You can do a nice soft sell of, I was out at the picnic and I had this great time and it made me think about this thing about my product or service and how it would help people, blah, 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 blah. By the way, you can get it here.
Well, that's a pretty smooth transition.
Yeah. Now, it's funny. It's something that I see people do, but no one does a very good job of teaching how.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because I will freely admit, I mean, it's always been like, in my mind, it's each email just does one thing.
right.
It's either a nurture and a connection or it's a sell.
And it doesn't have to be. That's just it. You may not be selling your product or service. You may be selling your blog post. Or you may be selling an upcoming event. But every email, because what part of what you're trying to do is train your people to act, to click on that button. So when you actually are doing a sale and you're running an actual launch, yes, and yes, Julie, you can actually sell something free. So send them to a blog post.
Yeah,
Send,
I was gonna say, because we've had a few comments so far, but
yeah,
Julie just pointed out, then, oh, this means you could sell something that's free.
absolutely. Yeah, if you have a new freebie that you just want your people to have, send them to that. You can do that. But the point is, you want to train your people to click on your link, because that way, when it comes time for you to do that launch, to put out that new product or service, or if you do a monthly, this is what I'm selling, and you do it during these 5 days of the week, they already know, oh yeah, I should click on that. Because the more we do it, the more it becomes a habit.
And it helps with our deliverability.
It helps with our deliverability. It helps with our SEO. It helps with all sorts of stuff. It is to our advantage to train our subscribers to take action.
So let me ask you, so this is, I think, a reasonable question is, should there only be one call to action in an email? Like, even if it's selling the blog post versus signing up for a webinar or whatever, is it better just to have one?
Yes. And here is why. Number one, this is really important. The ISPs, Gmail, Hotmail, all those things, are more likely to see something with several links to several different places as spam. So it's not
that.
Yeah, we don't want that. That's horrible. The other thing is, if you have a goal, you want to make that goal as clear as humanly possible. So you can put 2 or 3 links to the blog post in that email, but it has to be the same link.
Okay.
So you can do, here's the blog post, you should check it out. Do the button at the bottom, visit the blog post, that's fine. But if you do a huge long list of links, here are all the blog posts. And it's interesting because people do this all the time in newsletters. Here's the roundup. But you can't do too many. Because if you do too many, that starts to look like spam. So
I'm so glad I'm asking you this, because I actually was going to start to do a Friday email that was going to sort of be a recap, because one, I could give a link again to the replay of this show. But then I was also like, well, I could scatter in a bunch of other ones. So I should be pretty careful about that.
Do no more than 3.
Okay.
And, make it something, if you have a good open rate, that overcomes a lot. So if people are already opening your emails, then, the ISPs are going, oh, we already know that this is Deanna and we like her and people open her emails and she's legit. Whereas if you just start sending a whole bunch of links, the ISP is going to be like, no, this looks like spam. But more importantly, you're going to confuse your people.
Right.
What you really want is to keep things as focused as possible. So, theme things, put it together in themes. You can also, there's another question from Julie, it looks like.
Oh, here we go.
So what if you tell them to go to different things and check it out, but it's not a link? Oh, here's my site. Or if you want, yes, I have seen that. And honestly, in my signature, I always put a link to my site. It's out of habit. It's something I've done for a lot of clients, because that way you're still getting them back. So it's one thing to do something like that at the bottom of an email, but it's another thing entirely to go, and you should go here, and you should go here, and you should go here. So personally, in that same way that when you create a landing page or a sales page, you have one goal, and that is to get that person to sign up for that thing or to buy that thing. So you take out all of the additional links except the ones you have to have, like, privacy policy and stuff like that.
Right.
You don't want them wandering away. In that same way, if you want them to get to that blog post, because that blog post may take them to a sale, for instance, you drive them to that blog post. And that's the link you give them, and you keep them focused there. You don't give them 5 different blog posts, because that can get distracting. You put those links in the blog post, because that gives you good SEO, of course. And it also gives them more information if they need to go find it. Because it says, you want to know about this? Here, it's here. Well, then that probably should drive them back to that same product or service because it's a collection.
Right. Now, you mentioned something
Okay.
about open rate.
Yes.
And I guarantee you one of the questions is, what's a good open rate these days?
So this is the eternal question.
I know.
And I looked this up the other day because I needed to know for this interview and for other things I'm doing. The current industry standard is about 20%.
Okay.
So if you've got a 20% open rate, you're doing well. That is going to vary by industry or niche. It's also going to depend on your list. You may have a huge, gigantic list, but if you only have 40 really engaged people, you're not going to have a good open rate. But those 40 engaged people may be fueling your business.
Mm.
So a lot of it really has to do with how you manage your list. The smaller your list, the better your open rate, because there are fewer people. Let's be honest. So it is not always to your advantage to have a huge, gigantic email list. I've actually had clients that I've been sending emails for them and our list has been growing, but then I get a message from the email service provider saying, "Hi, we've had to shut down your account. You can't send any more emails because you have too many people who aren't responding and you need to clean your list."
Really?
Yeah, because that affects their deliverability. Remember, it's not just about you. Their reputation is technically what you're going out on. So that's why they're so hardcore about people not sending spam, is because they can get shut down.
Right.
That's why they want people to opt into your list legitimately.
Yeah,
All these.
we've talked recently because Kajabi had made a lot of changes related to that.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of conversations about double opt-in and reCAPTCHA and email deliverability and having clean email lists. So from the technical standpoint, we've covered that quite a bit, but that's interesting because yes, I mean, obviously the email service providers are looking at it like, hey, one bad apple is going to influence our reputation. So we're going to address that with people that have a questionable list.
Right. And to that same point, one bad apple can affect every single apple in that barrel, which it can include you, which is why you want to play by the rules so that everybody has a clearer playing field.
Amazing. So what other things do we as are, trying to do our little best with our email marketing? What else do we forget or do wrong maybe?
So can I go on a personal rant here?
Oh, sure.
So in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes that we as business owners can make are following someone else's templates.
Ooh.
And here is why. You and I are of an age that, and maybe most people are, we remember Mad Libs. Maybe where you had that, it was a thing and you just filled in the blanks and you got a really silly, weird, funny story out of it. That's what happens when you copy someone's template directly. is they're getting a Mad Libs. They're getting a, oh, okay, that's funny. And that sort of makes sense, but how does that apply to me? Because your subscriber's ultimate question in anything is, what's in it for me? Why should I be spending my time writing this email? So if you're copying someone's template word for word and just filling in the spaces, hey, name, you should buy name of product at this link because it's awesome. They're going to be like, what? So someone, and honestly, whoever created this template, it may work fantastic for them because they're them. That's what they do. But honestly, you need to be you. So you can take the idea behind the template and make it your own. And I take this from being a professional musician for many years. Doing a cover song, everybody sings, let's say Scarborough Fair, right? Everyone wants to sound like Simon and Garfunkel because that's a really cool version. That song happens to be from like the 1600s. So there have been a lot of people who've done that song over the years. If you take that cover song, that email template, and you make it your own, then it becomes yours. Then it becomes something that you're expressing yourself through, as opposed to sounding like Simon and Garfunkel.
Which is going to be really hard to do because there's only one or two Simon and Garfunkels.
Exactly. A very good example of this is when I was in college, I traveled around Europe for a summer, like you do, and I came across this Bruce Springsteen cover band in Germany somewhere at a train station. It was in a train pub. I was waiting for a train. And they were covering Bruce Springsteen and they were singing in English, but it was obvious they had no clue what the words meant. That they were literally just parroting out the words because there was no soul, no expression, nothing behind those words. And it kind of broke my heart, because Bruce Springsteen's an awesome songwriter and he writes great music and wonderful lyrics. And I'm just sitting there. It was kind of like having a robot read them to me. And it was just like, oh, that's not nice. Whereas if you put yourself and your understanding into whatever it is you're doing, that's going to give you what's going to attract people to you. Because let's face it, people aren't just buying a product or service. They're buying you. They're buying your company. Because, you can get a generic whatever anywhere. They're buying your thing because, your Kajabi course, your email course, whatever it is, because they're interested in what you have to offer and how you can help them. So that's my little rant on templates.
No, and I'm glad you brought it up, because what I'm seeing these days is, regardless if it's a lead magnet or a course or a membership, the one thing people want are templates.
Mm-hmm.
And they want a plug and play kind of resource, and that has a lot of value. But I completely agree with you about the email templates that are out there, because every darn time, because I do affiliate marketing as well, and every darn time they say, hey, we've got some great swipe copy for you that you can send out to your list. I take one look at it and I go, there is no way in hell I'm going to put my name on this.
Right? I write that swipe copy.
Oh,
I do that all the time. And in my instructions, I say, please customize this to your business voice, because I want it to sound like it comes from you. I do that when I do it for my clients. I do that when I do it for myself. But I give the basic framework. And, and
Right.
someone can go in and just customize the sentences so it sounds more like them. But, the last thing you want, I mean, because we're all on the same email lists. Let's face it. We all, how many of us subscribe to Amy Porterfield's list and Stu McLaren's list and, however many, all of the gurus, James Wedmore, Ryan Levesque, whoever, throw a guru name out there. When you can always tell when they're doing affiliate stuff because you get the same emails over and over and over again. And there's no personality to them. It doesn't sound like it's coming from the person you're expecting it to come from. But you can always tell when someone has taken the time to either write it themselves or hand it to their copywriter and say, make this ours. Because it's a
Right.
little bit different. It
Mhm.
sounds like them. The information is the same, but, and it gives your people an introduction to whoever this is in a way that sounds more genuine.
Yeah, that's why every time I look at those, it's like, okay, can I take some piece of this that has the facts,
Mm-hmm.
but then rewrite it and make the rest of it mine?
Exactly. And honestly, I've bought those email template courses. I want to see what they're doing. I want to see what they're selling. So I've looked at them, and some of them aren't bad, but you have to go in and customize it for yourself and for your audience. Because if you buy an email template that is for business owners who are using Kajabi, but you try and use it for quilters who are trying to make a certain quilt pattern, it's not going to work. But so many people say it's a template, you can use it for anything. Well, to an extent, sure. But
you can't use it as it is.
right, you have to do something to make it your own. You can follow the formula that's there, but you cannot just go fill in these blanks, click, send, and think it will work for you. And I hear so many people who say that I got these templates and they just didn't work and I say, did you just copy and paste and fill stuff in? And they're like, well, yeah, that's what the instructions said. And it's like, there's your problem. You have to do just enough work to get that something to sound like you, as opposed to whoever wrote it. And trust me, as a copywriter who's written these things, we can write them as neutrally as possible. But you need to put in that extra work. You need to take that extra 10 minutes to make it sound more like you so that it resonates with your audience.
So you also have talked about email formats.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you mean also like a framework kind of thing? Is that what you're talking about? So what can we do, or what to make these things our own? What can we have as a framework that makes writing these emails easier?
Well, as it happens, I am doing a training.
Really?
Yes, I am doing this workshop. And yeah, it's actually called How to Make Money from Your Email List When You Don't Have Time to Write, Don't Know What to Say, and You Hate Writing Emails.
Well, that covers about all of us, right?
Right? Because I think we're all in that situation at some point. Part of what that training will cover is, how to look at something and go, okay, there's the formula. Because part of it is you need to make a formula for yourself, because that's your business and your thing. But there are basic formulas that you can follow.
Because I think then that would, I mean, once you have your own template. So again,
Mm-hmm.
not talking about all the swipe copy and templates that are out there, but you create your own template then, right? Is that
Right.
what we're
Well,
working on here?
I think that I'm not going to call it a template. I will call it a formula because you're not going to
Okay.
do exactly the same thing every single time. You want to make sure that you vary things. So you'll have a basic idea, but there it is. In fact, you can, in fact, sign up for this free workshop and join me, and you will find out how. And part of what I will be showing you is 3 easy formulas that you
Hmm.
can use to write engaging emails every single time. And it's going to just make your life a little bit easier.
And I love that because anytime that we can have that guideline or some kind of, in this case, as you say, a formula,
Mm-hmm.
then I am sure obviously you've got a lot more secrets to share in your workshop where coming up with those topics and then using the formula, because like I said, anything that we can do to avoid cursing the cursor, because at the last minute, like, oh my god, I gotta write my weekly email, what the hell am I going to write about? I'm all over this because I am tired of doing that. So this
Mm-hmm.
sounds fantastic. And everybody, the link, because yes, I am an affiliate for Tanya's workshop, and I'd love you to use the link. But I would say this is going to be a great opportunity for those of us, and I know there's a lot of us who need to really make this a priority and really focus on making this a consistent good habit in our businesses, is communicating with our email list.
It's absolutely true.
I'm going to put us back here. Let me check real quick. So I also wanted to say, hey, we've got Frank from Germany. Frank is in my membership also. So
Oh, hello, Frank.
he was very, very happy to be here. So once again, everybody, I really focus on how in the world that you can, it's basically improving your relationship with your email list.
Yeah.
And I mean, we want to have a good relationship with our audience, and that includes our email list.
Yeah, and it's something that's foundational, I think. In that same way that if you were, 30, 40, 50 years ago just running a store before email really existed, you had those customers who always came in and you were happy to see them and they were happy to see you. You had that relationship, right? And you tried to build that relationship with everyone who walked in the door. You're doing the exact same thing here. We're just doing it virtually as opposed to in person.
And, and I think that's the one thing, and I think you would probably agree. We always talk about our customer avatar or ICA, ideal customer, you're human, whatever term you want to use for the vision of the representation of your ideal customer. And I guess that becomes a really important tool to be able to write these emails too, because you're really
Mm-hmm.
writing one person.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I love about email, honestly, is that it is literally a conversation to one person because it is you writing an email. It's like you're writing a letter to a friend. You can honestly, I mean, yes, there are some things you might say to some of your closest friends you probably shouldn't say to your customers, but it's that same feeling, and that's how you want your emails to sound. You want them to come off with that feel. And I say this because so years ago, if anyone here knows of the website CD Baby, It was
Mm-hmm.
originally, it was started as a way for musicians to sell their music on one platform. I mean, like I still have my music on CD Baby. It's a distribution platform. And I got to hear the guy who started it speak at a conference. And he basically said, every single email that we write at CD Baby, we write it like we're writing to our best friend. And I would get emails from them every time I actually got money, back, from sales, and it would say, hey, you've got this much coming to your bank account. It came from all of this. We love you. We hope you get thousands of sales and thousands of people listen to your music and that you have a huge success. I mean, how lovely is that?
Yeah.
It's still an automated email, but it just was nice,
And I think that's what people probably miss the most on this is personality.
Mm-hmm.
I really do try because my personality normally, like on this show and what have you, is I'm not as funny as I think I am when I'm writing. So, I mean, I really focus on trying to inject humor in
Mm-hmm.
my writing. And so, like you, posting pictures of the cats, or as one of my friends and email subscribers told me yesterday, she says, your GIF strategy is strong. Because I know how to find the right one to stick in the email to kind of just cap a topic or a point.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try and inject the humor in it too. And I just want to say, so we have Renee. Renee, we do see your name and your profile. She said she signed up for StreamYard, but she didn't think her comment was going through. But she says, thanks for the tips. Oh, see, I was fishing for compliments. So
there you
go. Thank you, Julie. I like to think they're funny, but I crack myself up too.
Well, and a lot of what we're doing is what some people refer to as edutainment. We are both educating and entertaining. And let's face it, how many teachers, everyone's favorite teachers in school were the ones who were edutaining. They were teaching us, but they were also making us think and cracking us up to make us think, and just, working around that psychology of, I don't want to be here, by, making us engage with them in some silly way. And they may have been, to teenagers, being really goofy and weird, but it worked. How much of your American history class do you remember because of that?
It's true. It's really true. So everybody, I would highly suggest you sign up for Tanya's workshop. I'm already signed up because I'm ready to go. Because I am really looking forward to learning the formats. So I can, again, I don't want to, it's honestly kind of stressful because I have a good reason to email every week because of this show. And I want to make sure people watch. But I also want to communicate something of value, even if people aren't able to watch, right? So that's what I'm really focused on in getting across with my email. And it's, sometimes it's painful in the days I have to do it because I'm like, what am I going to say besides this is the topic this week? I don't want to just do that. So I am really looking forward to your workshop, which let's make sure you guys all know it is Tuesday, June
15th.
June 15th. Okay.
Next Tuesday.
Okay.
At 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, 10:30 Mountain, 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. And I'm really, really sorry, Frank. I'm not sure what it is in Germany. I think you're 9 hours ahead of us. So
is it not? Yes, Frank. I think it's 8.
It's 8 or 9.
No, it's 9. It's 9.
Yeah.
Because he's one hour more than UK.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
So,
but that's okay because he comes to our calls. So he's okay. He could probably join us. So is there any other thing that you want to leave us with?
write to your people. They want to hear from you. And honestly, even if it feels overwhelming, just get started. Just take that first step. And even if you haven't emailed in forever, write them and say, "Hi, I'm sorry I fell off the face of the earth. This is me. This is why you signed up for my thing. I'm going to start writing again. Please look for my emails in your inbox."
I do want to say, because I know Julie is talking about emailing to her list because she has not, and she said she's following all your recommendations. Oh, see, here we go. She says, there you go. She wrote her re-engagement emails from your blog post. So that's the other thing. Is your website is Tanya Brody copywriter?
Tanya Brody copywriter.com.
Okay.
And there is a blog there with all sorts of useful information. Please go take advantage of that. But definitely join us for the workshop because it's going to be a good time.
Like I said, I'll be there. Hope everybody else joins us. Thank you again for joining me, Tanya. This has been fantastic. I think everybody enjoyed it very much. Remember, those of you watching on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. And if you have a question, go ahead and post it in the comments because I know I can have Tanya come back and answer any of those questions as well. So thanks again. And I'll look forward. I will be on the workshop. So I will see you then.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Tanya. Thanks, everybody. We will see you again next week for Simple Steps to Online Success. Take care. Bye-bye.